Hey everyone, it's Kevin Ducey back at you with another top producer spotlight. We haven't done one of these in a while. We've done some industry execs and other things of that nature. So it's awesome to be able to connect with one of my customers, a person I'm kind of leaning towards calling a friend. I hope she would feel the same way. But we got an awesome producer from Utah, Brittany Black. How are you doing today?
I am great. How are you today? Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I am doing wonderful. It has been a pleasure to meet you. I was very fortunate enough that I got to do your demo. And in the process of doing your demo, like I'll do for some of our clients, is like I'll go to your website. I want to figure out what's going on there, what you're about, try to learn a little bit about you before I got there. And I went to your website and I was like, am I at the right place here? It's this thing called Kismet Lending. And I'm like, where's the stuff about mortgages? And I was just so fascinated. And then we went through the demo and it was a wonderful demo and you're a perfect fit for Whiteboard. But we're gonna get to Kismet in just a second. Tell me a little bit about how Brittany got into the industry, and then we'll transition into Kismet. So how'd you become a loan officer?
So I was married and went through a divorce. I had three young children, and I hadn't had a full-time career while I was raising my kids. And so I was now in a position where I needed to start working full-time and find something that I was going to do to bring in money and support my family and figure life out, basically. And I had started one full-time job that was not a good fit for me, did not work. I actually really hated it. And it's the one job I've ever walked out from. So I just got up during my lunch break and left like I was going to lunch, never came back. So after that, I found the opportunity on Facebook. Someone posted that a friend of theirs was looking for an office assistant. And it was close to me, it worked well. So I applied, found out it was mortgages. I knew nothing about mortgages. I'd owned a home, two homes at that point, and had just gone through a short sale of a home, actually. And so that's about what I knew about mortgages, and got started with them. And then it just kind of kept growing and growing from there. And now 10 years later, it's what I do and love.
Right, and about 2 years ago is when you branched out with Kismet Lending. How did that happen?
So that was an awesome opportunity. I'd actually been with the same team that I started with in the industry for 8 years, which is not super common in the mortgage industry. A
Not at
lot of
all.
times people bounce around a lot, but I'd stuck with my same team, which had been awesome. And then a friend that I'd met by working on that team, Jessie Bostick, she is past president of our state association. She has 10 years of working with wholesale lenders. A ton of experience, total economics nerd. She just gets all of the things and loves all of it. And so we were good friends at this point, and we had just seen some things in the industry, kind of started to come up with some ideas. And she said, hey, I want to start our own brokerage. I think, we'd be awesome. We're great at what we do. And I think we can bring a lot of awareness in. And this is my idea. Will you do it with me? And I said, hell yes, I'm in. Was scared to death because it was my first time really going out on my own. Plus we're starting a new business. Plus we're kind of coming out strong with some things. And so that's what happened 2 years ago. And we started Kismet Lending.
And that vision you were telling me earlier came out, and you said some things that might have, I don't know, shaken some people in the industry, might not have sat well, but
Right.
when you told me about it, it's very much a buyer's first. Tell me what kind of like some of your positions on some things are at Kismet Lending.
Right. So a lot of people know in the mortgage industry, there can be a lot of collusion. There was a huge crash in 2008, and mortgage brokers took a lot of the blame for that, whether it was theirs to take or
Fair
not,
and unfair, yeah.
people will discuss. But
Mhm.
we basically just saw some things happening in the industry and said, we really want to put consumers first. That's what's most important in this industry. There's a thing called marketing service agreements. And it had died in legislation in the past. They had basically said these are not allowed to happen, but it's where a lender will go to a realtor's office, a brokerage, and say, we want to pay you a certain amount of money. We want to have a space in your office, and we're going to provide you a bunch of marketing materials for your realtors. In return, you're going to call us your preferred lender, and you're going to send us, and you're going to make your realtors send us all of their clients, all of the new leads that they get, so we can be their lender. Well, there's a couple problems with that. Someone has to pay for all of the things that are happening with that. They have to pay for the office space. They have to pay for all of those things that they're giving away and all that flashy material they're giving the realtors. And the person that does that, Kevin pointed to himself, is the buyer. It's the consumer. It's the person getting the mortgage. Those fees, those costs are financed into the buyer's interest rate. And so the buyer might be taking a higher interest rate. They don't know why it's higher. A lot of buyers aren't even shopping their mortgage. And so they just go to this preferred realtor or preferred lender, excuse me, get told this is your interest rate. And they say, okay, great. My realtor trusts you. I'm going to use you. And here we go. So we came out just talking about that, making it aware for everyone to know. A lot of people disagreed. A lot of people didn't love it, but a lot of people really loved it. A lot of times when you come out saying the hard things, you find that people appreciate the truth and the vulnerability and the honesty and the transparency. And that's really what we're about.
And then you guys took it a step further. Like you guys are doing like, it sounds really weird for me to even say the words, like a holistic approach to the buyer experience in mortgage. Like you guys have transcended into like spiritual, mental, physical well-being with some of the really cool things that you do. You want to share some of that with the listeners?
Yeah. So there's not very many of us. There's 5 of us total at Kismet. We're very small. And we're all women, which is also super cool. But we're also all like self-improvement junkies, super spiritual. We really believe that our mindset, our spirituality, what we're surrounding ourselves with, is very important. It's the most important thing that we can do for ourselves. So we've intertwined that with the people that we work with and with our clients. And so we'll host different events such as yoga in the park or yoga in the studio. We'll do water slides to connect with people, but then we'll also have classes where we teach about awareness and what's your energy like and who are you surrounding yourself with and what things affect that. So we don't host your typical mortgage education classes. We do some, but we also teach more about, your spirituality and what's really kind of going on with a few things that can help empower people and kind of reach that next level of awareness, really.
Now, when I think about this, I mean, my first reaction is, because this is the seat that I sat in, is the borrower. I think that as the home buyer there, I could see that really resonating with some folks there. How's it been like for partners?
It's awesome. So we've created some great relationships with other business partners. And that's also one of our goals at Kismet, is to create a community where we're working with like-minded business professionals so that we're all working together and have really strong, great relationships with each other. We're all, focused on the same things. And then we're also all keeping money in the community and supporting each other and kind of really building our tribe right here around us. But it's been a great way to connect on a different level with people rather than just a business transaction. So
it is so cool, because I think about it, that a mortgage is honestly the biggest transaction that most people will ever venture into. And a lot, 88% of home buyers would use their loan officer again if they could remember their name. There was a stat that name dropped a few years ago, and I just think about that. You're going through the largest transaction. The person who is facilitating it for you, you meet with a couple times, and then that's it. There's nothing more than that. That's not really being that advisor. And I think that what you're doing and how you're going to separate. Listen, everybody had a great 2020. It wasn't hard to deal with somebody just walking in the door saying they needed a refinance. Well, they weren't walking in the door; they were emailing you because we couldn't do that. But saying that they needed a refinance, it was pretty easy to find that low-hanging fruit. But as purchase business is going to drive 2021, and listings are so few and far between, not only in Utah, Oklahoma, California, I don't care where you are, it's a problem everywhere with inventory, is that those realtor relationships and how you drive and how you build those partnerships and how you build those folks who are going to buy a new home coming back to you is going to be so important. And what you guys have done there is a really cool niche. That being said, you did this 2 years ago. What's it been like for you from a business standpoint? How has Kismet impacted your personal production in the past 2 years?
It's been awesome on multiple levels. So I've quadrupled the amount of business that I do.
Wow.
Which is outstanding. It's funny, we actually just met as a team this morning and we talked about what our goals were when we started and where we're at now and just how funny it seems. So so that's been really, really cool. It's also given me a ton of different opportunity. I mean, I work from home. Before 2020, we still worked from home. So we are home-based, which allows us a lot of opportunity to be with our families, to be able to make the important things happen, to be present for certain things, and then also work really hard, as we need to. But yeah, business has skyrocketed. Everything's gone really well. It's been an amazing journey, even with, starting a new business always has its kinks, and we're figuring out those things as we go. We're, a lot of things we're learning as it happens, but we're doing awesome. So yeah, it's been an incredible last 2 years.
That's incredible. And I can also see like the joy in your face with what you're doing. It came across when we first spoke. Like, I would imagine that you probably don't really ever work many days. Like, when you're starting to impact people's lives in a much broader spectrum, it's really easy to get out of bed in the morning. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, and that is one thing I will say that it's funny. I'll talk to people and they'll say, I need to call you kind of later. And I'm like, that's fine. Or on the weekend, that's fine. Because I really love what I do. I'm happy to talk to you when it's convenient or when we can. And that means that maybe I get to take a couple hours in the morning and have a little bit of a break, but I'm going to work a little bit later. But it doesn't ever feel like work. It feels like connecting and helping people achieve their goal and doing what I can do to help them, and being honored to be a part of that process with them. Because like you said, it's their biggest purchase ever. So the fact that we get the opportunity to do that with them is really, really cool.
All right, Brittany, one last question. I asked this of just about everybody, and I didn't prep you on this one, so forgive me.
Okay.
You've been in the industry for 10 years, you worked with a team, and then you created your own. If someone was starting in the industry today, a loan officer, what would you advise her or him to do? What's one key critical component you would advise them on, something they should do?
Can I give two?
Absolutely.
Okay. One is ask all of the questions, and then don't take the answer just to be a given fact. Make sure you know how to look up and verify it. That saves us, and that's why we're really good at what we do. So we're really good at all the things we've done for all that I've talked about as far as Kismet is, but we're also really good at closing a lot of files that a lot of people don't know how to do. And that's why, as we learn to ask questions and not just take the first answer as the answer, we learned how to look it up, how to find it, we teach underwriters what they need to know sometimes. So ask questions and make sure you know how to find the answer. Number two is use a good CRM. So I did not use a CRM until, I don't know, whenever I signed up 8 months ago. There's so many clients. I was using a spreadsheet and not even very well. And just trying to take notes and figure out how to follow up with people. And you eventually I don't even know the amount of people I'm not in contact anymore with over the last 10 years that I could have been. And so from the start, I would figure out a way to be able to track and stay connected with all of your clients. And even if you couldn't help them then, you'll be able to help them at some point. So build that relationship and stay connected with them.
Well, I didn't ask you to plug that, so thank you so much for the plug. That's right. I really appreciate that, Brittany. You've been wonderful, not only to me but to the staff here. I know that everybody, when they do have the opportunity to talk to you, you've always been so pleasant and courteous, and you seem to get how the system works for you. So we appreciate that. And hey, kudos to you guys on what you've done by putting the buyer first. That obviously, I talk about it all the time, that owning a home is the embodiment of the American dream. And it's one of the ways that we can change generational poverty and socioeconomic issues that we have in this country. The more people we can get into homes, and you guys are doing that by putting the buyer first. God bless you for that. Thank you so much for this time, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.